Searching for Love, A Guide to Healing the Inner Me, serves as a guide for what a healed heart looks like. This book provides sobering truth to ensure you will create an environment authentic and God-ordained healing. This book encourages the reader to let go of this false self, and it reminds us that if we are to embrace who we are, we have to let go of who we are not. When we aim to heal the inner me and understand everything is not because of the enemy, we allow ourselves to detoxify from the junk that lies dormant that we honestly don't want to surface. It is my prayer that after reading this feat, you are compelled to move from toxicity, recognize your value, and arrive at a place called heal.
Stand clear.
Hey y'all, it's Latrice Ryan. We were so blessed at Repairs of the Breach Miracle Crusade, hosted by none other than Dr. Toya Spencer Fillmore. I am so proud the Lord moved miracles, signs, wonders, and healing. The Lord is moving miracles in this hour and become a part of it. Meet us in the next city. You need a healing? You need deliverance? Meet us in the next city. I'll see you there.
Hey, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Hello, hello. Welcome to Kitchen Conversations. I am your host, Dr. T, Dr. Toya, as most people call me. Make sure that you like, comment, and share. Thank you for coming. You know, I got to do my disclaimer. I am not a medical doctor, okay? I cannot prescribe you nothing but what's in them scriptures, okay? I am a doctor of your spirit. I am a doctor of ministry. So that is my prescription for you. I can prescribe you anything that them 66 books say. I can't count all of the rest of the 66 books, the chapters and all them verses. I can't count all that, but I do know it's 66 books in the Bible, okay? So I can prescribe you something that's in the Bible, okay? So you know how we do it. Every first and third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're here sitting at the table talking about different topics on today. You know, I deal with real people, real issues, but we give biblical-based solutions. So I'm here sitting at the table. I got some guests waiting on my co-host. She's gonna come. I know she's gonna come. But I'm waiting on my co-host on tonight. I forgot to send her that link, so please forgive me, Sarah. Don't shoot me. I'm sorry. I forgot to send her the link. Okay. So please forgive me, Sarah, but I know she's coming. All right. So listen, y'all know what we do. We always have our favorite beverage. I'm still trying to do this water thing, y'all. It's my water. Last time I think I had a Coke, but I'm still doing the water, pure water. So make sure you have your water, your favorite beverage, your favorite snacks. I didn't bring my snack on tonight. So we can just sit at the table and have a conversation like real good girlfriends, right? So, you know, I always have to come in and I always have to talk about my products, you know, my books, what's on my website. So here, hold on, let me bring it out to you. Knock the thing down. Y'all pray for me here. So these are my books. Searching for Love, A Guide to Healing the Inner Me. I even got journal, Kitchen Conversations, right? It's just regular sheets of paper. But you see, I've written in it, so I use mine. It's on my website. Okay. Then my other two books, and my mic fell. My other two books, Watchman's Dream Journal, and my other book is The Pink Experience. That is my book that I talk about my journey through breast cancer. I have T-shirts. I have mugs. Oh, I have mugs, kitchen conversation mugs. I have inner healing mugs, all on my website. If you need counseling, you can book you a session. I have a 15-minute free discovery call that you can do to make sure that we're a good fit. If we're not, I know other counselors, other people that can help you through your journey. And today we're talking about grief and loss, how to overcome grief and loss. As you guys know, I recently lost my dad back in October. It was 5 days after his birthday. God called him home. And so this has been a different kind of healing journey that I'm going through. And I got two other young ladies that has went through the same battles with dealing with grief, but most of it is with their own children, right? It was their own child that they lost, and how they are teaching people how to overcome grief in different situations on the experience of losing a child. I had another friend of mine, she lost a child as well back in Memphis, and I was there for the whole thing. So I do know it's a different type of hurt when you lose a parent than you lose a child. And it's a different type of strength that you need when you lose a child, because we always think that we'll go before our children, right? That's just what it is. We think we'll go before our children because our job is to leave a legacy, an inheritance for our children's children. And so we always think that they will outlive us. And sometimes God will call them home before they called us home. And we never know why. We don't know the reason. All we can do is trust God. Even in this instant of me losing my father, I have to trust God and believe God, have his best interest in heart, because he's no longer suffering. He's no longer in pain. He's no longer sick, but he's made whole. Okay. And that gives us reassurance. That gives me reassurance, even in my grief, that he is no longer sick. He's no longer bound by sickness, but he's strengthened in God. God has given him strength. He has made him whole, and he's walking in the street paved with gold right now. Okay. So I had this long talk of another group that I'm with. We had a long talk about grief on Sunday, and a different aspect of grief, and what the scriptures is talking about. But we'll talk about that all toward the end. But I want to bring on my guests and let them. I have two magnificent women, Coach Tanya Fisher and Coach Andrea. They both are prolific speakers, ministers, and women of God. And I met them. I met Coach Tanya on Clubhouse. We met on Clubhouse 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. We met on Clubhouse 2 years ago. I had an event here in Atlanta, and then she left me. Then she went to Jacksonville. We met back up, and we just reconnected. She's such a sweetheart. She has such a sweet spirit, and her spirit is so genuine. Her heart is so genuine, and she really wants people to see people healed. Regardless of what you're battling, what you're facing, she really wants to see people healed and walk in what God has called them to walk in, and don't be bound by the enemy, because the enemy will try to bound you. He will try to torment you. He will all that. He's gonna pull out all the stops, all his punches. Okay, and on today we're gonna bring her on, and I'm gonna allow her to introduce herself. Coach Tanya, come on to the stage. I'm gonna check on my co-host while you introducing yourself. Hey, Coach Tanya, you're on mute.
Hello. Hi,
Hey.
Dr. Toya. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored to be a guest on Kitchen Conversations. However, under the circumstances, it's pretty tough, and I understand where you are My father died about 6 years ago, and I'm still grieving to some degree. But again, thank you for having me on. I am Coach Tanya Fisher. I am a excuse me, I'm sorry, losing my train of thought here. I am a certified life coach. My business is called Bloom While Broken, and it's basically about restoring mother-daughter relationships. I also have a clubhouse room entitled Restoring Mother-Daughter Relationships, where we talk about every aspect that you can think of regarding the mother-daughter relationship to try to help restore those relationships before it's too late.
Yes, I see Apostle Mike is on here saying, we love you, Mama Fisher. Make sure I put
I love you, Apostle Mike. You know I do, and everyone else that's here. Thank you for your support.
Yeah, he's definitely supporting us, I tell you.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Okay, I'm trying to find my co-host. I'm sorry. That's just throw me off. Okay, so I'm gonna bring on my other guest, Andrea, and let her introduce herself. So, hey, Mama Tanya on here. She's on here. Hold on. Hey, Andrea. How you doing, Andrea? Coach Andrea, you're on mute. Okay, there you go.
Hello. Hey, everybody. Hello.
Hey, introduce yourself to the kitchen conversation guests, the people out here.
Well, hello. For those of you who don't know me, again, my name is Andrea Merriman. I am a creative harmony coach and a master domestic violence help coach. What I do is I work with leaders like many of you that may have been through domestic violence, working toward teaching skills that will help you to recognize domestic violence and safely respond. I have been doing this part in the domestic violence part since 2014. I also have a clubhouse where we meet every morning, well, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. in the Power and Purpose room. I have group on um, Facebook called Serenity for advocates to come together. So we are just building a network of leaders, whether you're a minister, whether you're a counselor, and if you're working with women, period. So this year I have started so much so putting information into churches, because just so that they can safely respond when people are coming to them and understand resources in their communities. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm excited to be here, although the topic is a little heavy, but it is a topic that needs to be had. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I appreciate you both for coming on. And this topic is, God does nothing by happenstance. I did this way before I knew my father was going to pass, of course, because I asked you guys back in September to be guests and gave you the date. And how many know that, that now I need this. I need to talk about this. This is something that I'm going through now, and just having to just overcome and do my own strategies and obstacles of what I'm going through now. Like I did a reel, I think last night, because yesterday was a bad, I say it's a bad day. It was I was thinking about them and I was feeling a little down. And some days you have good days, some days you have bad days, and you just have to sit in it and know, okay, so this is just, I'm missing him. I'm thinking about the things that that he did, that he said, even smart stuff that he said, the smart mouth he had, anything, the checking, because he liked to check us, he liked to, I hope y'all know what checking means. I'm from Memphis, so so everybody don't know what checking means, but he likes to check us. So and we all knew that we couldn't go anywhere and just do anything, because he wouldn't allow it. He'd be like, why are you going looking like that? What's wrong with your head? What's wrong with your, and then his favorite thing was, you don't let him see you sweat. So, and he, taught us work values and things of that nature. So I'm working through this as well. So I'm gonna bring my co-host. I'm sorry, pray for me here, okay? Pray for my. It was, don't charge to my heart, charge to my head, okay? And we talked today, and she didn't even tell me she didn't have the link. So, oh my goodness, I'm like, Sarah, you were supposed to tell me you didn't have the link. Is she coming on here?
Yes, ma'am. I am here. And then the technical difficulties, it's okay. I don't charge it to your head or your heart. Things happen. I love you. And no worries, because I'm here now. And I get to see the beautiful Andrea. I love you. And the gorgeous Miss Tanya. I love you. And I'm happy to see both of you. So I'm grateful to be here this evening and see my gorgeous co-host. Yes.
Thank you. Now introduce yourself to the people. You have to do that.
Hello, everyone. Great evening. I am Sarah. All I do is win Osby. I am a motivational edification speaker, best-selling author in the stand-up anthology, and I am also the CEO and founder of Boss Business Queen, LLC. This book here has made me a best-selling author. Stand Up, Resilient Black Women Who Are Shaping the World with Their Faith, Volume 1. It will bless your life. That is what I can tell you in short. It will bless your life. So gift it to someone. The holidays are coming, but gift it to yourself. You will be happy that you did, I promise you. So thank you for having me this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
And thank you for being my co-host.
I love being your co-host. I love it.
Well, that's good. So, Coach Tanya, Mom, as Apostle Ebron call you, Mama Tanya, Mama Fisher. Mama Fisher, come on, tell the people.
Yes,
I want people to know your testimony. I want people to know what God brought you through. I know you shared it in Pastor Baton, but share with the people what you actually went through.
Okay. Thank you again. And as you all were talking about your books, I forgot to mention that I am also an author of an anthology called Faith, Family, and Friends. I am one of 12 authors, and I tell a little bit about my story there. But 2.5 years ago now, my daughter passed away. And when she passed, she was found in her apartment, lying across her bed. That's tragic. If that's very tragic. And I'm still dealing with her passing. But the worst part of it for me is, of course, her passing. I mean, that's really bad. But the part that really is basically a tragedy for me is that when she passed away, we hadn't spoken in 2 months. We had a falling out. We were upset with each other, said some things to each other probably that I wish I could take back, but I can't. And it was just a horrible thing. So if you could imagine, not only your child, my daughter, she was my baby girl. I have a son that's older, but not only your child dying, but the guilt that I sometimes still feel, and that I felt then from us not speaking and the argument that we had. And to be honest, the argument wasn't over really anything that, that's significant to where we couldn't try to patch it up. But that's where we were. We had a tumultuous relationship, and that's due to many different things. But as her mother, I felt guilty. And then on top of all of that, when she passed away, she may have been lying in her bed for a week or more. And so because of the condition of her body, I was not able to even see her. She had lived in Miami. She had been in Miami for over a year. So I hadn't seen her in over a year. And this was all during the pandemic.
Wow.
I had planned, she passed away in May of 2021, and I had planned to go see her because she had moved into a new apartment. She had just moved to Miami, and I was going to go there to, help her out and check her out, see how she was doing and all of that in June, but never had that opportunity because she passed away in May.
Wow.
I think one of the, you never want, I have a son. My son was in the military for 12 years before he got out. And my worst nightmare was to have officers come to my door, because we all know what that means. We might have seen that on movies, or that when you have two officers or maybe one officer come to your door, most likely they're letting you know that your child or your loved one has passed. That happened to me with the police officer coming to my door and telling me that they had found my daughter lying in her bed. And like I said, I couldn't see her. It took 3 months before the toxicology and the reports to come back. I didn't even know how she passed. So all of this going on with me feeling guilty, the fact that I lost my child, didn't know what was going on and how she passed. It was just a culmination of things. Sometimes people ask me, you're so strong, you're so strong, you're so strong. And I will say this, if it wasn't for my faith in God, I wouldn't even be here sitting here with you. I would have lost my mind. I may have wanted to commit suicide on my own. I may have, there's so many things that go through your head, and, the guilt, and that guilt, it will eat you alive if you allow it, especially during the whole situation. So my whole mandate from God is to help mothers and daughters restore their relationships, because it could happen to you. Your mother. And I often, when I have classes or I speak with people, I often show, I don't know if many of you have seen the movie, and it's, oh gosh, it just slipped my mind. But there is a movie, and it was in the 1950s. And if anybody remember it, please, call it out. Is it
Mommy Dearest?
No, not Mommy Dearest. It's older than that, in the 50s. And it'll come to my head. But anyway, it was a mother-daughter relationship. And this was back in, in way back then. And they were a Black mother and Black daughter, lost their father. And she worked for a family, for a rich woman who was a star, or an actress.
They put it in the chat, Imitation of Life.
Imitation of Life. Thank you. Whoever put that in the chat, because I definitely forgot. My mind just kind of went. But at the end of the movie, the daughter gave her mother a hard time. The daughter passed for white. She was ashamed of being Black. She was ashamed of her mother being a housekeeper, all of these things. And she treated and talked to her mother horribly. She ended up, just running away from her mother, didn't want her mother to even she didn't want anybody to know she was Black first, and then didn't want her mother in her life at all. Towards the end, her mother passed basically from a broken heart. And when she passed, there was a funeral scene of them leaving the church, taking, with her casket, putting it in a carriage, which is the way she wanted to leave out. And as they were putting her casket in the carriage, the daughter runs up and cried, Mama, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. And laying across the casket. And it just, every time I see it, it breaks my heart. I've seen that movie so many times. But that was me on the flip side. My daughter and I, we had a good relationship sometimes. But it was a battle a lot of times. And some would say because we were so much alike, that type of thing. But we had our good times. We traveled together. We did all those things together. But in the end, we still battled. And like I said, it was another, so many things that I could talk about, maybe why we did whatever. But the worst part of it, she passed away without me saying, I love you, without me even being able to see her, to touch her one more time. And that is something that I never want any mother or daughter to ever go through. And it happens. And the thing that really, it happens in our churches, but we don't want to talk about it, right? You know, we have many mother-daughter relationships that are strained, but we don't want to talk about it. I don't really hear many women's organizations, many churches, you know, and we have women's retreats, we have women, you know, all kind of things that we have, right? But very seldom do you talk about the relationship between mother and daughter. And because in the Black community, especially, it's taboo. You don't talk against your mother. You don't say anything bad about your mother, even though your mother may, you know, not have herself together. And it may be some things, some traumas and things that she has gone through. And she may, you know, raise you or treat you or talk to you out of her own traumas and things that she's been through. So this is something that we need to talk about, that we need to share. We need to get to the depth of this so that our families can heal. Because when the mother-daughter relationship is out of whack, the whole family is out of whack. And we need to talk about that. We need to be honest with ourselves, and we need to heal.
Yes, yes, we do. Yeah. And just like you said, you don't talk against your mother at all. You don't do that. And you have to understand that, especially my mother, she was 18 when she had me, almost 19. So she still was a child herself, you know. And, you know, with me, I was 21 when I had my oldest. And I'm still, you know, yet I'm in college, you know, trying to feel my way. And then I get pregnant, you know, so I'm feeling my way too. So I might not have done everything that she thought I was supposed to do as well, you know. And so, but we have to make sure that we keep our daughters close and make sure that we're able to heal, you know, to heal ourselves, heal our daughters. And my oldest daughter, I think I have a special kind of relationship with her. And I have to remind her, like, hey, don't forget, I'm still your mother. You know, I'm still your mother. And I allow her to, you know, be free with her vernacular, her talking, and being able to be transparent. But at the end of the day, I'm still your mother. You still have to respect me. So I understand it all too well. We have to heal our mother and daughter relationships when we're doing that. Coach,
and the key is I'm sorry. The key is communication. We have to be able to talk to our daughters in a way of respect, that they respect us, but yet and still we have to make sure that we're listening to what they have to say. Because as I say many times, if we don't listen, they'll find others to listen to them that they, you know, will take advantage of their vulnerability, and they may not give them the values and the morals and the things that you would want them to know and to have. So it's so important to talk to our children, and not only just talk at them, but talk to them and allow them to talk to you. Just listen. Sometimes it's hard, but you have to just sit there. If you got to grit your teeth, bite your tongue, to listen so that they can feel safe with you. Because nothing's worse than your child, well, I can't talk to my mother. I can't, you know, she doesn't want to listen, or, you know, she this, and this. And we've heard that many times. So we want to make sure that we communicate with our children and listen to them and allow them to share, even though it may be tough to hear some things, but you rather them share it with you than someone else.
That's right. Right. That's absolutely correct. Sarah, do you have anything?
I'm just sitting here listening to Tanya, and and I'm a boy mom, so I have 3 sons, but I'm a daughter, and my relationship with my mother, it wasn't always what it is now. You know, I didn't feel particularly close. I felt distant, like I couldn't talk. And there was early on trauma in my life. So I was molested when I was 6, and then again when I was 9. And so after that, I began to exhibit behaviors that were rebellious. And so I've often said that I had been my mother's standout child because I'm no one's black sheep. So, yeah, I was her standout child. Yeah. And I did it very well, you know. And so I got a lot of attention that way. It was negative attention because I was behaving, you know, out of character. I was raised in the church for as much as they could get me there. But I can tell you that what Tanya said is so very true. You know, if a daughter doesn't feel like she can talk to her mother, she will find someone that will listen to her. And I did that. And they did take advantage of me for many years. And it had been many years. And I believe I was widowed actually by the time, and I was widowed at 33 years old. So I was widowed by the time I was able to say to my mother in front of my siblings that I want some one on one time with my mother. I need that. I don't get to see my mother the way I should when she's in town. You know, it was one of the first times that I began to voice how I was feeling about my relationship with my mother. And I will say that no one listened to me at that time. I didn't feel heard still because nothing happened. I did not get that time with her at that particular time. Um, but God is a God of restoration. And so over time, I have been able to talk with my mother, love my mama. I love my mama so much. And we have a wonderful relationship now. And I just thank God for it because it didn't have to be. There are so many times I was just telling someone that the adversary had tried to take me out. And I mean, clean out of this earth. But God didn't allow it. And so I am grateful that he didn't allow me to die in that not having that relationship with my mother. I'm sure it would have tore her up. I know it would have tore me up. So I am grateful that we are together now. We have this awesome relationship and I just love my mama. So I am grateful. So thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya, for all of the work that you do for mother daughters. Thank you. It is much needed and much appreciated.
I believe that when mother and daughter learn how to heal for real, and that's just not, we're not even going to go with men, but when mothers and daughters really heal and have a healed relationship, I think that will kind of cure some of these misconceptions of women not being able to get along with each other,
Yes.
right? Because if we start opening up and start understanding our mothers and our daughters and that the thing that we wrestle with is not flesh and blood, that is against principalities, against rulers of darkness of this world. And it's not my daughter, it's the enemy. It's the enemy that is trying to cause this division and confusion because his whole thing is what? To kill, steal, and destroy. So he is going. It's going to be mothers against daughters, fathers against sons. Whatever he needs to do to ensure that his agenda is completed and God's agenda is void. And so, but if we start to love our our daughters and our mothers and not just not be at odds at them at all times, because me and my mom bump heads all the time too. She'll tell me that I just tune her out because I do, and I have to be honest with that because she said you can look at me and you don't be listening to me because I learned how to do that, but that's not good, But that's as I get older, I know that's something that I need to work on. So that's what I did. I worked on it to be, so we can have that mother and daughter relationship. But we can talk about mother and daughter relationship all day. Listen, because I know about mothers and daughters relationships. Yeah, I got two daughters, right? And I'm a daughter. So, hey, But so I want to talk to Andrea, Coach Andrea. I want you to tell the people, tell the kitchen conversation crew that's on here, tell them about your testimony.
So, as I spoke, I work more so on healthy relationships and domestic violence. And a lot of that started because my daughter in 2014 was murdered by her brother-in-law. And she had been here, we were here at the home. And so after that, I started understanding what was going on in our communities. And it was hard because she was 17 at the time. She was a senior in high school. We had a good relationship. Matter of fact, the day before we had, I had just gone to the high school because she was in early college. And so she would have graduated with a high school diploma and her associate's degree. And I had just gone into the school, spent the whole day with her at the school, going over her school schedule. That day before I had sit in the cafeteria with her and ate junk food and, all of that the day before. So God allowed me to have that. And I'm so grateful for that time. And then the day of, we had sit and talked. And so what I started realizing was, one, it was such widespread. And according to the CDC, 33% of those that women that are murdered is by a family member or partner.
Mm-hmm.
And that understanding that and then just realizing how big the issue is in our communities, I wanted no other mother to have to bury a daughter, especially for domestic violence. And what was happening, I saw a trend. I saw it getting worse in our communities. I saw so many people having to go through so much and thinking that it's normal,
Mm-hmm.
that relationship is supposed to be like we hear in the music and how we hear in the communities talking to each other. There's no more respect.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it really boils down to. There's no respect in relationships anymore. And I really wanted to work with teenagers because she was 17. So I wanted to, start from the beginning, teach them how to have relationships. And God told me no. He said I needed to work with the mothers. He
Wow.
said because the mothers need to understand. Here's how I got it. The mothers need to heal because they cannot teach them children something that's not inside of them. And until they heal from their own trauma, you can teach the children, but when you send them back home to that war zone, it's not going to be as effective.
Mm-hmm.
And so the program I created is the Jennifer Y. Merriman Help Program. It's a program that offers hope, empowerment, life skills, and prevention methods for women from their youth up. So the victims, those at risk, can go through this program. The great part about it is a 16 module program that goes through what is domestic violence, how it affects the family. And the amazing part about that, when I started seeing how many women did that, have you heard people say, oh, well, the children don't know. Hey, we send them to their room, they don't hear, and they don't understand how it affects the children so much
Mm-hmm.
until they start coming out with the ACEs scores and those type things and start talking about it. But even with that, so many people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it goes through that, including things, mental health, physical health, writing resumes. I never realized how many women with children, 3, 4, 5 children who can't cook, they're scared to go on their own because they've never worked for themselves. And there's just so many things that are contributing to domestic violence and toxic relationships that this program answers. And so right now you can go to jymhelpprogram.com and find out more. But right now I'm trying to also get our churches to start just coming in and being a part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Although they don't understand what domestic violence really is and how it affects the brain when people are telling. I heard Coach Tanya say something about one of the things when I was going through Jennifer when she was murdered. Everybody, and even now, oh, you're so strong. You're so strong. No, I'm not. I just believe in God a whole lot. Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
counting on me, I'd rather be in the corner somewhere, sitting down, grieving, being in my own little space.
Amen. Amen.
But with God, is so many things are possible. And so we need to understand that we need to have these type of conversations in our churches. We need to have them in our communities. We need to have them over a cup of tea. I say tea. Y'all know I love tea parties. You know, having a tea party, have a tea party and talk about it because
Mm-hmm.
it is just so those things that make us uncomfortable, like talking about grief, talking about domestic violence, talking about what's going on, we understand that we're past that. What goes on in my house stays in my
Stays
house.
in this.
Some
Come
things
on
do
here.
need to stay in there, but there's some things that need to come out. And then
Yes.
when even going to the schools and talk to children, and I say, you know, we're going that I believe it used to be that thing, you know, not my monkey, not my zoo. I said, I'm here to tell you that it is your monkey and it is your zoo. And if
Mm-hmm.
we don't speak up and start talking about it, and there's not going to be a monkey or zoo.
Mm-hmm.
All of our
Mm-hmm.
black men are going to be gone. They're going to be in jail. They're going to be in hell. They're going to be somewhere that don't need to be. And we're not going to have them until our men stand up and say, yo, dude, that ain't no good. That ain't cool.
Come on.
We can teach our women forever. We can teach our women what to look for. We can teach them how to be on their own. Matter of fact, I'm at the age where they said, and which gave me the idea that women were taking care of themselves because I was at the age where it said women are doing it for themselves. So I didn't even realize that it was such a I say domestic violence is the pandemic before the pandemic, but wasn't nobody
Mm-hmm.
talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when COVID hit, it went up like 40% in the first 3 to 6 months because when we told the victims that they need to go home and isolate themselves, we gave the perpetrators license to isolate them and treat them bad without anybody seeing.
Mm-hmm.
To so many people going to work, going to school, that was their only out. And so it's just been one of those spaces to where we really need to understand what's in front of us and not ask her, why don't she leave? Why not ask him, why don't he abuse?
Mm.
Yes.
We're asking all the wrong questions. We're doing the wrong things. We're leaning on the wrong understanding. And you
Yes.
know, God tells us if we lean to our own understanding, it's not going to work. So it's important for us to have these conversations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you would keep on. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know how to stop myself. I can keep going. I can keep going. I do. You know, you get me on the roll.
Like, tell it, Andrea. Come on.
I mean, it's the truth. Like,
Yeah.
Ooh, I think we need that. We need to mute if we're not talking.
He
okay.
said a lot of feedback. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me? Okay. So it's the truth. Like, that's why I say I deal with real people, real issues, but I give biblical based solution because we need to do something outside of being the two songs and a sermon and run around the church. Okay, after you get through doing the 2 song and the sermon and run around the church, what you gonna do? Because you finna go back to that toxic relationship. You finna go back to the entanglement, the situationship, whatever. You finna go back to it because you ain't got delivered and healed from it for real. Right? It takes more than 2 songs and a sermon. sometimes after you get off that floor, it takes a little maintenance, and maintenance is called counseling or therapy. Okay, after you get off the floor with 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 your deliverance and praying and crying out to God, oh God, I ain't gonna do it no more. Get you somebody, a coach, a therapist that's gonna help you be accountable to what your goals and your aspiration. Your goal is not to go back to that entanglement. Your goal is not to go back to that situationship. Your goal is not to go back to somebody that's beating your head in the wall. And it goes both ways. It goes to with men too, because you got women that's abusing men, right? And so you got our babies seeing this. You got our young men and young women seeing what daddy is doing or what boyfriend is doing to their mama, and their mama is accepting. So it's causing all kind of ruckus in our children, in our youth. And if we don't put a stop to it, it's going. There are my daughter is 27. I think she done went to I don't know how many funerals since she's been out of school because of gun violence, because of domestic abuse, because of all of these different things, because we are failing our youth. We are failing our youth because we decided that we don't want to get healed. We decided that we don't want to deal with our traumas, which we have triggers, because if you got triggers, if you trace it back, you got trauma, because we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with what our uncles did to us or what our granddaddies did to us, what our grandmoms did to us, because the buck has to stop somewhere. And only way change is going to happen is that you take accountability and you turn the other way. You change, you have to do something different. You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect something different. What is that? That's the definition of insanity. So we have to
say something.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but I wanted to say something. And I know I'm going to be on the, what you call it, the minority side of this conversation thought. But y'all know that it ain't never stopped me from being over there, right?
No.
You already know me now. So you said something that is one of the things that I would like us to think more about. You said something about gun violence.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that space because my daughter Jennifer was shot 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I understand that process, but it wasn't gun violence. It was murder by a person.
Mm-hmm.
When we take it away from the person that presented the act and talk about it as from an object, we forget about what's really happening and who needs to be healed. Not the guns, the person. We need to talk about the person violence. We need to talk about the person who thought it was okay to take a life. And I know that it's said that way, but I see it in so many areas that we fuss and we talk about, we spend time, we make laws talking about gun violence. Let's talk about the violence that's been done to our people. Let's talk about the person who's picking up that gun, because we could sit that gun on the table for 50 years and nobody would be hurt unless the person makes a decision to take a life.
That's right.
So I really like to get to that. When I'm talking about it, everybody assumes, I'm against guns. I'm not against guns, because I know at some point, people need them for whatever reason. They don't if they're doing right. But I want to say to that point of, I'm against the person who picks it up to do wrong, to hurt somebody. And I just think that we really need to focus on the space of, it's almost like when we think about grief and loss, I hear people a lot of times talking about being a survivor, a thriver, and talking about what's the other one they're talking about? Narcissistic abuse. As far as I'm concerned, it's a person that abused somebody, because it's a choice somebody's made. And you guys already know, when we start making it a mental health issue, somebody's going to say, well, that person couldn't have made a better choice because they're mentally ill. See, there's a difference between that. So I don't talk about narcissistic abuse. I talk about a person who made a choice to kill somebody, hurt somebody, abuse somebody. If they have a mental illness, then let them deal with it when they lock them up. But I'm going to talk about that person who made a bad decision. And I think when we start thinking about, we in America are so easy to sugarcoat stuff because it might hurt somebody's feeling. My feelings were hurt when my daughter was shot 5 times.
Wow.
When you lose somebody, your feelings are hurt. So I'm not going to sugarcoat the pain that's there so that you can make it seem like it was something else going on. So it was 2014, so we're going on almost 10 years. There's still times where I feel like I don't know if I want to get up today because I'm sad about it. There's times when, even though we used to talk, one of the things, she used to read and write all the time. So we shared a Google Drive. So I have a lot of her writings and things that I do. But I was standing, I think it was a couple years after, I was standing in the store, and a lady and her daughter were talking about school. And she said, I can't afford all of this. You got senior classes coming up and senior pictures. And I'm standing there with a pair of shoes I'm trying to buy, just a crying. Because I'm sitting here thinking, you're worrying about shoes. At least you got a daughter that's going to graduate. And, all this is going through in my mind. So grief and loss, when you're grieving, it comes at the craziest time. You be thinking you having a great old day, and somebody will say something, a song will come on, you'll smell something, you'll see something, a picture, a rose, and then all of a sudden you're like crying. Like, where did that come from? I was okay. But it's different for everybody.
Yeah. And can I step in? And you're exactly right. There are days, I have good days, and I can laugh about and think about things that my daughter, would say, or she was very funny and, witty. And I think about and I laugh. But then within the next hour, like you said, a song or something that reminds me of something, and I just break down and cry. Even though we're out here helping others through their grief, or through, the process, you with the domestic violence, me with mother-daughter relationships, even though we're doing this, we still have to deal with our grief. Even as we're helping others, we still have to deal with waking up without our children, without our daughters. We still have to deal with it. And even though we may look strong, and that's just the grace of God over our lives that's helping us push through. Because let me tell you, when God gave me the mandate that I would help mothers and daughters restore their relationships, I had just had the memorial service for my daughter, not even a week before that. And I'm thinking like, Lord, are you really, because I'm still trying to grieve here. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this. And you want me to go and do what? And I didn't even know of such a thing. I didn't even have anything really to model it off. All I knew is I had to speak because the hurt is so real. And we take our relationships with our children for granted, as Dr. Toya said earlier, because as parents, we feel that, our children aren't supposed to bury us, right? We're supposed to, our children are supposed to bury us. We're not supposed to bury our children. And so a lot of times we take it for granted that they're going to be here forever, or going to be here, or you don't even think about it, because of course, who wants to think about that their child is going, may die, or, even we don't even want to think about us dying, let alone our own children. Right. So I'm with you on that. There are triggers and things that we have to deal with. And for me, how I deal with, I cry it out. I cry. There are some times where I cry alone, but then there's other times I might have to call somebody to talk about it or talk through it. And I apologize for my dog back here. But but there are times, that I have to do. So a therapist, and I always say, and I'm going to mute in a moment because she's having a fit, Bijou. But I always say that, especially us as Black people, we need therapy. We need, like, Dr. Toya said, we need to talk with someone, and someone that is objective, that can look at it from all sides, that can help us walk through, what they call the 5 stages of grief, to help us walk through it, because we experience it. And I believe that we'll grieve from the time we leave here, because these are our children. No matter what the situation is, we loved our children, and however they have passed away, that's something. Dr. Toya, you just lost your father. When I lost my father 6 years ago, I was devastated, and I didn't realize. And one thing we have to watch too is depression when we are through the grieving process. That's something, it'll sneak up on you, without you even realizing it. When my father passed away, I was just so shocked that he passed, and I wasn't, I mean, who can be ready for that? And I dealt with it. And you know how you keep going and you keep moving, and you realize, and you're walking and you're working and you're doing everything that you normally do, but walking in depression. I was depressed and didn't even realize it until someone said, "You need to get some help. You need to talk to somebody." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I was doing life anyway, but didn't realize that I was a walking cloud of depression. I couldn't recognize it, but others could recognize it around us. And that's where therapy comes in. And that's where talking to people that can help you walk through it, even if there's someone that you can talk to that just listen to you talk. Because sometimes we don't want to hear, do this, do that. We don't want to hear that. We just want to talk it out, to get it out, to be able to cry it out if we need to. So, so you're very right. And like you said, it starts with healing ourselves. And that's one thing that when I talk to mothers and daughters, even in the clubhouse room or separately, start with you, not your mother, not your daughter. It starts with you. Because a lot of times we have issues, as I said earlier, with my daughter, because we were so much alike. And everything that I was dealing with and going through, it was projected on her. Right? Because, you're raising them, and you're going through things, and all the things that you do and you battle with, they pick that up, or they sense that. And in my case, later on, and I shared this before, and I shared this with my clubhouse room, God showed me in the middle of talking in a clubhouse room that I resented my daughter. And let's talk about that. There was resentment there, because not that I didn't love her or didn't want her, it's because I wasn't ready to have another child when I got pregnant with her. And so even though I never said it, but my actions and the spirit that I was walking in, that spirit, because it is a spirit, it reflected on her. We couldn't get along and didn't even know why, because she felt what I was feeling. It was resentment and rejection in the womb. Okay. And so when you reject and you have that room, they grow up in rejection. They grow up with the resentment. And I'm wondering why she's acting. It was because of me, how I was feeling. No, I never said it, never shared, but it was because of what was inside of me that was being projected on her. So we have to make sure that we take care of ourselves, get counseling, because counselors, coaches, therapists, they can see what we can't see. So, and I'll just leave it at that.
I mean, that was good.
that was one thing I had to do. So when I created that program, so she was murdered in 2014, 2015 May. I had created this program, was working with a shelter, working with people, carrying on, and I was going through my coaching certification and going to conferences, trying to meet people. And one of the coaches I had seen, she was talking. She said, wait. She said, so many people are talking about turning their pain into purpose. She said, some of y'all have been getting up here and using this stage as your therapy session. You need to get off the stage and go to therapy. And I said, oh, is that me? have I done that? So I literally took 2016, the whole year off of coaching, doing anything. Hired a transformational coach, hired some, got some help because I wanted to make sure it wasn't me. Because like you said, you end up in depression, you're projecting your thoughts onto somebody else. You're trying to get into a space where you're not taking care of yourself. And that really woke me up and I was going, you know, is that me? How do I make sure it's not me? Because I see it so much now, especially talking about domestic violence, that people want to tell the worst parts of their story, thinking they can scare everybody into, coming out of their relationship when really all they're doing is trying to, like you said, talk so people can listen to what they have to say, and they're using the stage as a therapy session.
Mm. Wow.
Wow.
That was good.
Wow. Yes. Wow. Wow. But I do recommend therapy. I have a therapist on speed dial. We may not talk about speed dial anymore because, we have our little smartphones. But if any of you all know what speed dial is, I do, because there's any time I can call and have a teledoc session with my therapist, whatever I need, because I don't know it all. I'm walking the process. And what I understand is that for the rest of my life, I will have these moments, but it's how we manage those moments, how we deal with those moments. Do we sink into depression? What do we need to do? There's so many different things we can do. I journal, just for example, to get my feelings out. Even if I don't write it, I voice journal. I write a talk recording. I read and try to help myself. So there's so many things that we could do to deal with it, but we have to want the help.
That's right.
There's sometimes, some people want to stay in that depression. Some people want to stay in that grief and not heal. But that's a whole topic for another session. So I don't mean to take over, but I just wanted to share that therapy is the key. Coaching, whatever you need outside of your family, outside of someone that is objective and neutral and that can help see where you are realistically and walk you through it. So
yeah, I agree. I always say Jesus plus therapy equals the Holy Ghost. If you want the Holy Ghost, get you some therapy and make sure you got your Jesus. Okay? I'm telling you, Jesus plus therapy is the Holy Ghost. I mean, you have so much peace. Peace is priceless. I'm telling you, you have so much self-control. You don't be wanting to bust the windows out for cars. You don't want to be slashing no tires. No. Like Jasmine Sullivan say, I bust the windows out your car.
Don't tell the part about how you go to jail then, but okay.
Right. So listen, I'm telling y'all, therapy, I got my therapist on speed dial too. Okay.
So
I meet with her every Wednesday. So I'm not telling you something that I wish I knew. I'm telling you something that I'm doing. Even through the grieving process I'm going through, and even this platform, really, y'all, Kitchen Conversation is another therapy session that helps me, on my platform. So it's not only helping other people, but it helps me as well. So when I saw this and I was like, oh my gosh, should I cancel it? Because yesterday was a bad day. And I was like, okay, but no, people need to know the transparency that, hey, yeah, I'm anointed. Yeah, I'm walking in the office of a prophet. Yeah, I am one of his daughters. But yeah, my flesh is acting up. My flesh, is grieving at this point. So that's just your soul. We are 3-part beings. Y'all heard me say that at Jacksonville. We are 3-part beings. We live life out of our soul, our will, our mind, our intellect, our feelings, our emotions. It's in our soul. So that's what we live life out of. And so we're battling with that. And I think I did a real talking about functional depression. You can function, you can be functional, you can go to work, you can perform, you can do all of these different things and you still can be depressed. I mean, you can you can be performing at your optimal level, and you still, guess what? Because, like I told you guys earlier, my dad used to always say, don't let them see you sweat. So if you already operating that, don't let them see you sweat. I got to put on my game face. It's time to put the game face on. Let me do this. Everybody don't need to see that I'm dealing with the 5 stages of
I can't hear you, Toya.
Yeah, I think you're.
No. I don't know what happened. We could hear you and then no. All this technical difficulty. Can't hear
It looks like
anything. We
your.
can see you.
Yeah, it looks like your mic is muted. Maybe unmuted. Might be stuck.
Yeah, because let's see. Try to say something to him. Now she looks frozen.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, there you go.
There
Okay.
she is.
there you go. Okay.
But the mic it still looks like it's muted. Maybe it's
Yeah.
stuck on her end.
Yeah.
Go out and
Yeah,
come
this is
back.
a-
Go out
You
and
want
come
to
back.
keep going? Is that what you're saying? Keep going? Okay. Gotcha. Well, I was listening to what you were saying, Tanya, Toya, Andrea, and what I didn't share was that when I lost my husband, I lost him 10 months after I lost my dad. And I was a big daddy's girl. And it's been 20 years, March 18th, that my husband has been gone. And there's still rough days. But like you, Tanya, I have a therapist on speed dial. My therapist is on speed dial, so I know about speed dial. I have my therapist on speed dial, and I'm grateful that I do. And the thing about being strong, people say how strong you are. People said how strong I was, at the services and after, not understanding that I had a complete nervous breakdown while still raising 3 children, no treatment. And I did that for so many years. And then I finally got some therapy in 2014. I lost my husband in 2003. So that's a long time to go through, grief and challenges, and not grieving though. Not grieving, not going through the 5 stages, really in denial. So, it's imperative that we get help. It's the reason why I can sit here today is because I knew enough to fall on my face and call out to the Father. And he directed my path. And that is why I can sit here today. And it really was a mindset transformation that had to take place with me so that I could understand who I am. And that's why I make the statement with impunity that all I do is win. No matter what it looks like, I'm winning. I'm winning. And it's all because of the Father. So I want to thank you so much for sharing your story, Tanya and Andrea, the beautiful. I love you. I thank you so much for being so transparent, so willing to share and help others. I love you. And I see that my gorgeous co-host is back. So
I mean, the devil is just do not want to act.
he tried it.
He is trying it.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me? But anyway, the 5 stages of grief, we're going to talk about that: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I had that in
Yes.
my book when I went through breast cancer. So that was one of the stages I went through, even when I was battling breast cancer. The first part, when they say, you have breast cancer, you're like, no, I don't. The first thing you say is, no, I don't. You go through this denial. Maybe if I don't think about it, it ain't there. So it's the same thing with depression. And I think I talked about functional depression. Did y'all hear me when I said that?
Yes,
Okay.
because that was me. That I did that. Yeah.
That's me. Because my daddy used to say, "Don't let them see you sweat." So that means you start putting on a different face. Okay. So, but listen, I thank you guys. I know we're over an hour, but this has been a very good conversation on tonight.
Yes.
If it didn't help anybody, it helped me. Bless my soul on tonight. Like I said, this has been my therapy session, my second one, because I had one yesterday. This is my second therapy session on tonight. So, yeah, it's really blessed me. Tanya, please tell the people how to get in contact with you before we close out on today, because I know I don't like the, I'm just like Clubhouse. I don't like the whole long rooms because I know people have lives and people have other things to do. But I appreciate those that hung out with us. The 12, 15 viewers, the 20 viewers that we had on tonight. I appreciate you guys sitting at the table with us. Functional dysfunction. I like that. Hold on. Somebody just said this. This is good.
Functionally dysfunctional.
Functionally dysfunction is like the antenna on the old model TV. Yes. Come on here. You function and you function, but you're still dysfunctional.
Yeah, so, that's true. That's true. Yeah, well, that's true. What I call like a dressed up garbage can. Okay, we look good and cute on the outside, but just jacked up and messed up on the inside. And not even realizing it. Sometimes, sometimes we deny that we need help. And there's many comments about church and how pastors aren't trained, to deal with that. And so a lot of the churches have turned, I thank God there are churches now that operate in wisdom and knowledge and try to counsel, but there's still a lot of churches that don't know how to deal with it. And most people, that's what they go to. I can go to church and I'm supposed, but a lot of times we get the wrong information, or we say, oh, just pray about it, baby. It's going to be all right. And yes, prayer is powerful. It will be all right. But there's other things that we have to do in wisdom and knowledge to be healed. Right. Mm-hmm. So anyway, enough of that. You didn't tell me to go into that, but yes, I am Coach Tanya Fisher. I'm also an ordained minister, and I can be reached on Clubhouse every Saturday morning at 8:30 a.m. in the Restoring Mother-Daughter Relationship. This Saturday, we are going to talk about jealousy between mothers and daughters. Oh, that ought to be good. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and how we can heal from those things. Also, I can be reached on Instagram at Bloom While Broken. And then there's my link tree there on the screen, linktree /Bloom While Broken. And those are there. And also on Facebook as Tanya Fisher. I did have a Bloom While Broken page up, but it was deleted somehow. So it'll be back up and running soon. I also have a podcast called Restoring Mother-Daughter Relationships. So you can go on any podcast platform and listen to some of the podcasts that I have out there. So thank you again, Dr. Toya, for allowing me on. And Sarah, as well, as good seeing you. I appreciate it, and I'm honored to be here, to have been a part of this conversation. So thank you again. God bless you all.
Bless you too. Yeah, that's my new sis. I don't care what nobody say. She took care of me in Jacksonville. She made me this big chocolate cake, even though it took her 2 years to give it to me. But baby, that chocolate cake was so good. The whole conference was like, where that chocolate cake? I was like, I asked a few people if you wanted some chocolate cake. I didn't ask the whole conference, but the whole conference came over there and got some cake. You hear me? That cake was delicious. I'm telling you, I'm still waiting on. I'm gonna have to give me another chocolate cake. I'm telling you, that was some good stuff. Anyway, so Andrea, before we go, let everybody know how to get in contact with you.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. I made life easy. If you just type in any main right now social media, Facebook and IG, Harmony Coach Andrea. You can Google my name or Harmony Coach Andrea, and I show up. I'm also on Clubhouse at 7 o'clock in the morning. And you can reach me if you are a leader. We talked a lot about ministers wanting to be trauma informed. If you know that your church needs to have a tea party so we can have conversations like this and talk about trauma, just hit me up, Harmony Coach Andrea. I can be found. Thank you, ladies. Again, it was great seeing you. I didn't get none of that chocolate cake, so that's okay. The next one will.
I'm
But
surprised you didn't, Andrea. I swear it was going around. People was coming up to me. It's like, where was that? I almost didn't have none to take home. Do you hear me?
It
Because I was
happened.
like, I'm gonna take this cake home. I ain't had that problem. I almost didn't have no chocolate cake to even
No
bring home.
chocolate to take home. Well, thank you, Dr. Toya and Sarah, for having me here. It was great. I love this conversation. And, I love to get together and talk about things that are bothering people that we don't want to talk about. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you guys so much for coming on Kitchen Conversations. You're always welcome to come back. Listen, this is what we do on Kitchen Conversation. We deal with issues that the church don't want to talk about, that they need to talk about, but they don't talk about. And so with that being said, this is a Christian talk forum. And, I have to offer Christ to those that are on the platform, that's watching, that may be watching the replay, and you need salvation. You want to be saved. You want to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. All you have to do is do it. It's ABC. Accept, believe, and confess. Accept, believe, and confess. And you have been adopted into the fold, right? If I got anybody that's in the comments, the replay, that wants to be saved, that wants prayer, all four of us are able to help you walk through that salvation and help you become a part of the kingdom. Okay. But if you're there and you don't want to just reach out to us, and you want to be, you're in your living room, you're listening to us while you're driving, and you say, I want salvation, just go listen. I got a prayer for you. I want you to say this. This is not your all be all prayer. Okay. I just threw one together for you. Now, as long as you say a prayer and you repent and you accept and you do all of this, you will be saved. Okay. It's according to Romans 10, 9 and 10. That's it. That's the word. Okay. Just say this with me while you are driving, while you saying that you want to be saved. Okay. Father God, I repent of all my sins, knowingly and unknowingly. I ask that you come into my heart. I believe that you are the Son of God and died on the cross for my sins. I believe that you rose again so I can have a relationship with my Father in heaven. Thank you, Jesus, for the gift of salvation. In Jesus' name, amen. It's that simple. You have now been adopted into the fold. And I hope you we love on you. You accept your salvation. You're walking in the kingdom. You have your inheritance just like all of us, right? So you are now in the fold. You are now in the kingdom. So listen, welcome. I mean, not welcome. Welcome everybody that has already accepted salvation. We're going to give you a hand. The angels are rejoicing that you have made that decision to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Okay. So thank you guys again for joining Kitchen Conversations. Join us on the every first and third Thursday of the month, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we're talking about these topics that nobody in the church wants to talk about. We deal with real people, real issues, but we give you biblical-based solutions. I pray that you have an awesome, amazing, and wonderful night and weekend, and I'll see you again in the kitchen at the table. God bless. Have an absolutely wonderful night. Good night.